And we're live with Big Pod. What you been up to?
Nothing really.
Uh,
Just learning some programming stuff, and that's it.
yeah. Yeah, for school or for work?
For fun.
Nah, that's the best way to learn. I had to get my coffee before we started streaming. That's why I was cutting it close there. It always takes longer to set all this up than what I think. Like I was sitting here 20 minutes before, it was time to stream. And I was still just barely able to get everything ready. So, what programming have you been trying to learn for fun?
I am trying to learn the containerization systems like Docker and Kubernetes.
Ah, very cool. Well, when you learn it, yeah, you can come back and teach me. I haven't played with Docker much. Although people keep asking me about it, maybe I should do some stuff with containers at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People have been asking me about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you'd be proud of me, Big Pod. I'm using nothing but Microsoft software now. So, okay, not at home. Obviously, I'm using Linux at home, but yeah, it's nothing but Windows and Office and OneDrive and Outlook, and it's just the total package. So, I will say all of it integrates well with each other. So that's the one plus side to it, is when you sign up for the entire Microsoft package, yeah. it is a okay experience, right? Yeah. But I still hate it. I wish I had LibreOffice, for example. Office 365 especially. The web client is kind of clunky.
Yeah, the web client isn't the best, but it works.
But it works, yeah.
For most basic stuff, is okay.
Mm-hmm.
For what I use.
Right.
For most basic stuff. Otherwise, DT, I just want to tell that maybe one day soon JavaScript will start receding when it comes to computers in internet.
No, well, I don't know about the internet. The internet is its own little world, it seems. But JavaScript is really creeping outside of the web. Like, people are
but
doing desktop stuff with Java.
You can do JavaScript is really strong. It can do stuff. It is slow, but right now there's like new standards that coming out that WASM, for example, WebAssembly is basically JavaScript just faster because it is assembly language for web. Basically, you can do whatever you want on a computer through web. But it runs in a not container, but in a sandbox environment. So even if you do whatever, let's say try to install something, it can do anything to your computer. And will this new faster JavaScript, will it be Richard Stallman approved? Will it be free JavaScript? No,
or okay?
It isn't JavaScript. It's like JavaScript. It fills the same role. It won't be like let's say. It will be really a lot of applications, just those that are the type of Microsoft 365 Office will probably written in WASM, because it is basically assembly for web, and it is really fast, and stuff that are written are like, you can do basically desktop applications as they are, you can rewrite them into web, because you can, any language you can compile into WebAssembly.
And in the chat, Telsaurus was asking, JavaScript on the desktop sounds unnecessary. I agree, it's unnecessary, but people do it. Some desktop shells, it doesn't GNOME shell. Can't you edit it with JavaScript and CSS and some...
And Electron.
Yeah, all the web stuff, right? It's all which makes sense, I guess. GNOME 3 almost looks like a web interface. It looks...
Just remembered something. Microsoft, like for just for experiment, they took an Electron app,
right,
and took out JavaScript and added in their own C# version of JavaScript, basically what they call Blazor. It's a runtime for running C# in a browser. Basically, they took out JavaScript and put it into Electron application.
Right. We've got some music playing. Jack, are you there? Jack? All right, Jack. I don't know what that was, but I'm sure he'll work out his problems. All right. Let me see if we can figure out what that is. We mute Jack. Does the music stop? Yes, it does. All right, Jack. Make sure you're wearing headphones or earbuds, Jack, because whatever you're listening to on TV or radio or on the computer is going to bleed through your microphone. All right. Let me pull up the Zoom chat, too, so we can chat with you guys. So Jack has no audio or video. So that's the problem. Jack, we can hear you. Let me type to Jack. All right. Yeah, so we're having a problem with Jack and with Tellus. Neither one of them figure out how their audio's working. They can chat. They can type to us, Big Pod, in the Zoom chat.
I heard Tellus type, so
okay. And I'm pretty sure
Tellus.
Yeah. Okay. So you can hear me.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm pretty sure Jack, his audio is working because we heard music playing through his microphone. It may just have been a problem with it. What if he was wearing headphones or something? Maybe they weren't working. Maybe he had them plugged into wrong output or something. I don't know. But Jack, we definitely heard music playing through your mic. So I think, I don't know. Play with the Zoom settings. There's a settings in Zoom where you can choose the output for both video and for audio. Of course, that's assuming he's listening to the YouTube stream. Obviously, if he's having problems, he can't hear us here in the Zoom client. Yeah, Jack's audio jack is jacked. So, well, we got Tellus, though. Tellus, how are you doing? Hello? Looks like we still got some technical difficulties here, Big Bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may just have to talk through it. Jack is now saying he has no mic. The music is coming through. That's LOL. Okay. So he doesn't have a mic. How are we getting his music then?
Okay, it's more complicated than I thought. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're good. You can bring up the mic level a little bit, but we definitely can hear you. Yeah, but he can't hear us. That's the problem. Okay. All right. Let me check out the YouTube chat for a second, see what these guys got to say before we move on. Yeah, so Mark, STS Tech, he's having similar issues, and Peppermint 10, I'm assuming, with Zoom. Jack's computer is bugged. I bet Jack gets it worked out, though. It's rare we have anybody try to join us on these Zoom chats, and they don't eventually figure out
Yeah.
the right output. Yeah, we just uncovered the hidden listening device in Jack's computer planted by the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so tell us he cannot hear us. So we hear him, he cannot hear us. What could be the problem? Well, we can't tell him what the problem is. I can type it to him. Well, I told him to maybe check out PAVU control, pulse audio volume control, make sure his audio
They're
output.
all the same.
Yeah. That's almost always the problem. Has to be Zoom that's buggy then. No, that was Jack. Yeah, Jack is... He still can't get anything to work. I don't think he can get audio or video to work for him. And of course, I've got no idea what operating system they're joining us on either.
It could be that Jack maybe has music playing and it is routed into the microphone.
Yeah.
Because I know on some stuff like Zoom, I don't know if Zoom does it, but some stuff like that does somewhat route stuff into microphone port, even though it's on headphone.
And I was thinking that as soon as we both type pulse audio volume control, well, if they're on a Windows or Mac machine or they're trying to join on mobile, obviously, that's not going to work. So, though it doesn't look like either one of them was trying to join on. But, well, we don't know with Jack because we never got a picture from Jack. I've never tried the mobile Zoom, though.
I tried it. It's quite okay.
Yeah. Maybe I should try it one day, stream from a remote location somewhere. DT on location, at Waffle House or wherever.
Hello, Derek.
All right, we've got audio from you. We've always been able to hear you. You just couldn't hear us.
Oh, I hope I didn't say something embarrassing.
No.
I was just typing.
Yeah. Okay. So was it a problem with one of the audio outputs?
No. I just had to configure a little bit the audio from Zoom. It's the first time I run Zoom on this machine, so it's okay.
Don't feel bad. We all have problems with Zoom occasionally. Sometimes the outputs and the settings get messed up, and you have to go back in and make sure you've got the right microphone selected or the right camera selected, especially if you've got a lot of devices plugged in.
Yes. Well, I run Arts, by the way. No, that was a joke. I run Zoom on Arts this time, but usually I run Ubuntu as well. So, but this is the first time I tried Zoom on Arts, and it was very easy to get it working.
I'm running the Zoom package from the AUR too. So,
me too.
Okay.
So, so Zoom, for those of you that haven't installed Zoom or don't know what Zoom is, obviously it's a video chat
hi guys
platform. Hey. And it does have packages. I believe they make a deb pack, they make RPM packages. Obviously there's a AUR package for Arch users, and they also have a like a tarball also that can run on any Linux distribution. So
well, I have downloaded the tarball from I have downloaded the TX or whatever file from the Zoom site directly. There was a link for Arts, and then I installed it through Pacman-U, and it was really easy.
So if you happen to be on a distribution where they don't have a native package, that tar file just works on. I've actually used that on Solus before, on laptops that I had Solus running for a few months, and I used Zoom on that several times, and it just works. You don't even have to install anything. There's just an executable somewhere in that tar. Just run it, and it works. There may be snaps or flat packs of Zoom. I've never looked for them, though. It wouldn't shock me.
It also worked for me out of the box. It's the first time I've ever used this.
Yeah.
I'm on Debian 9.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I guess.
I believe there is flat pack of this, but I don't know if there is.
Okay. Yeah, it would make sense for them to do one of the universal packages instead of trying to maintain, a dozen different Linux packages.
Yeah.
I imagine it creates quite a bit of headache for devs to have to make a deb and then have to make a RPM and nobody ever makes an Arch package. Yeah, nobody ever makes an Arch package because they know the Arch guys, they're going to do that themselves, right? The Arch guys, they just take care of themselves. So.
Especially debs, they're actually pretty hard to make, or to make them the correct way.
Yeah, debs are really hard to make.
Yeah. It's part of my job, so I know it firsthand.
So I have a question about debs. There is an application I really use for my work, and there is no.
Hold on, just a second. Hold up, guys. Let me. We had to mute Gary for a second. He's trying to join, but he's not wearing headphones or earbuds, so he was causing some feedback. Go ahead, tell us.
Okay, I was asking. I need to run a specific software for my work, and for the website, the tar file does not work really. I don't know why. There are some dependencies missing, but in Ubuntu, I can use the deb very, very easily. So, is there a way to convert a deb file to convert it into something I can use in Arch?
Yeah,
there are ways.
This is
doesn't Alien do that?
Sorry?
I mean, I've used the Alien program.
Yeah, Alien
RPM
there's debpack, or not debtap you can find on AOR. Debtap, that's one I use. It works flawlessly for me. Those are mainly ones that people use.
And it seems like, what I see a lot of Arch users doing is converting RPMs rather than debs. So if you find something that has both a deb and an RPM, I know a lot of Arch users convert RPMs to Arch packages.
Is it easier or more proper?
There is no difference, really.
Right. I haven't done either one myself, but I don't imagine that there's much difference. It's just...
I normally just do it myself by hand.
It's probably just a difference in the way the formatting is just.
Thank you.
I was trying to find a link for you for the Arch.
In some cases, you can do it by hand, but for especially large packages, for example, the Oracle database, it's really, really hard to do it. It's almost impossible. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it only comes in an RPM package.
I know the package for the deb one is debtap.
Yeah, debtap. That one
is it in the AUR or is it in the repository?
AUR.
It's AUR. I have seen this.
I can do almost every deb package by hand. Every time I try it, basically, because it's really easy to do that one. Problem is that you just need to know what to put where and in the file system, and that's it.
Right. And I just posted a link to debtap in the AUR in the YouTube chat for anybody interested.
Thank you.
But I've never found a need, when I say I've never converted deb or RPM, because I've never found something that wasn't packaged in such a way that I couldn't get it installed on Arch anyway. Because almost everything is in the AUR.
And if not, you just take the tarball and do it yourself.
Right.
The problem is if the programs don't list dependencies.
Yeah, that's the problem. I couldn't find. There were some dependencies missing, That was a problem, and it's not in an AUR. I've checked it. It's a very, very specific program for bioinformatics. It's really very specific.
Well, I know people are going to start throwing.
You do bioinformatics, sorry to interrupt, but
I use it for my work. I don't do it. I'm trying to learn it and use it.
It's my PhD.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, maybe. And you're Greek as well as me, huh? I see.
Yes, I am. Which program do you need?
Mega X.
Oh, I see.
For alignment of DNA sequences.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see. Wow. Maybe I can find it.
Sorry, guys, for this.
Yeah, sorry.
That's interesting, though. Well, DNA sequencing, and then you're doing this on Arch. That's cool.
Yeah. It's very easily done in Ubuntu, or I guess also in Fedora. I don't know, but I'm trying this in Arch.
It doesn't make any difference, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of the code we write is portable because we mainly the biologists write in Perl. I personally preferred to write in C and CUDA just because it was way faster. But anyway, the code is mostly portable. But we have to use proprietary NVIDIA drivers to hook to the CUDA framework. Unfortunately, especially with a cluster of Quadros or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What are you running, George? George, what operating system are you using?
I use actually a couple of them in my day job. I use Red Hat Enterprise workstation version.
Okay.
I also have a Kali Linux laptop for pen testing, and on my main laptop, a Debian 9 stretch.
Yeah. And I was asking because obviously there are things like Scientific Linux. Well, I guess it's dead now, but I assumed you guys were probably doing CentOS or Red Hat. So.
In Red Hat, Red Hat is really, really friendly because it packs a lot of packages for that purpose out of the box. Also, well, it doesn't perform very well though. I mean, its kernel is configured way too much for security. So every time I have to reconfigure and compile it, to disable all the mitigations and stuff. I also prefer to run the latest kernel, 5.2.
Well, if you find Red Hat is kind of locked down for you, just do what TELUS and BigPod do, run Arch, and then you can just configure it to do whatever it is you want to do. So. Yeah,
I wasn't an Arch guy. But after watching you and other guys, I'm starting to like it. I like the minimalism of it.
Yeah. So Arch is one of those weird things, like before you get into Arch, nobody understands it, right? And then after you install it, you're like, oh, I get it now, right? Yeah. I understand it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to attempt it.
Yeah.
I've been always an Ubuntu guy, and for 10 years maybe. And then I saw some of the videos for Arch, and I have an old laptop that I wanted to. I could just try a new system on it, and it's old from 2011. It's not a bad machine. That time, for this time, it was really great. So I tried Arch on this, and then I fell in love with Arch. Yeah. Now for maybe more than 6 months. And then my main machine, my main desktop computer in the office has Arch. And now I have also 2 laptops, one with Arch and one with Ubuntu. But I have to confess that I also use Windows sometimes whenever I need to read and write things written in Word in MS Office, because
no matter format, right? The doc.
Sorry?
They are proprietary format. I mean the .doc, which is not an XML-based one.
You talking about the docx format?
The docx is XML-based, so it's actually parsable. But the .doc, I don't know. There are incompatibilities there.
Actually,
am I right?
What I see normally, Linux software better parses .doc than docx, because .doc is a lot older and
I see.
It hasn't changed for a long time, where docx changes through versions because it's newer and they actually put time into that one, not doc.
So let me ask you something. I haven't really used Microsoft Office ever in my life.
Really?
So,
Me too, until the last 3 weeks. So
oh, you have to.
Really?
I've had to now because I recently changed jobs, and it's all Microsoft all the time at my new job. So
yeah, most of the companies are hooked to Microsoft, unfortunately, especially the offices. So if you have if you have code in VBA, how does that translate to LibreOffice, for example?
I believe it doesn't.
Document with VBA, I don't know, buttons or stuff.
No, I believe it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't. I see.
As far as I remember, it doesn't do anything because there is no. They would have to either transcompile into some other script that LibreOffice understands, or they would have to get the source code for VBA, but they don't have that.
So, indeed.
Well, I usually work with LibreOffice a lot, but whenever I need to send something for someone else to read, and especially whenever I need to edit something for publications or for official documents, then I really need to use MS Office. Then I have a virtual machine, so I work with I load Windows in the VM in the virtual drive, and I do that. But it is true. I have to confess also that no matter how good LibreOffice is and other Office applications which are available in Linux, MS Office is really brilliant. It's really good. So I have to confess that. Yeah, it's really,
I think LibreOffice probably competes with Microsoft Office as far as just function, but the problem is the formatting. They're not 100% compatible still. I don't know if LibreOffice will ever get there. Yeah, especially with the Word documents are all right. The presentation documents, though, I found the formatting, can be really boogered up when you open up something you created in Microsoft and then try to open it up in the LibreOffice presentation software. It never looks right.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing that I've been... Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Oh, just trying to get set up for field day here, and it's and plus the museum's open, and it's just been a wonderful day because they got construction going across the railroad tracks, so one half the route to the museum is now blocked, and so everybody's calling, asking, how do we get there? But anyway, as far as what you were saying about the about Office, is the major thing is the fonts, because you don't have the TrueType fonts because that's all proprietary, and because of that, the spacing on the forms and stuff like that will be completely off. The other thing that I've noticed,
well, some of that too, Chris, will be. I mean, if you're installing something like Ubuntu, don't they install the Microsoft Core fonts and all that anyway?
Yeah, you have to install them yourself.
Still, I thought they did that if you ticked on the third-party stuff. Wasn't that all tied?
I believe you have to do it yourself because you have to accept the terms and conditions.
Okay.
I see.
That's the problem with the formatting there. Yeah.
but then the other thing is that you still don't have an equivalent for Access, and so I can't take an MDB, bring it over, and have it on base, and have base open it. It doesn't know what to do with that file. And I've tried to get an ODBC equivalent for Linux where I could just reference to the database. I can't find anything out there, at least nothing open source, and the stuff that promises under paid they don't work very well. So
is Access still packaged in with the MS Office? Aren't they?
There's a version of Office that still has Access. I believe it's Office Pro. But yeah, they tried to put SQLite in 2018, SQL 2018 or something like that. SQL
7, right?
Yeah, and it just doesn't. I don't know if it never really seemed to take off because there are just too many people trying to make Access do what was not designed to do, and that was to handle large transactions. You know.
Yeah.
I believe that SQL Server from 2018 version and above is compatible with Linux nowadays.
Yeah, 2017 version is has an installer for, I believe it's Ubuntu package and Fedora package. You can find basically it isn't in repositories because it's still proprietary.
Yeah.
But you can get it on their site. You can get their repositories. You can download it from there. I believe the latest version doesn't have 1804, Ubuntu 1804, just 1604, because 2017 was released at the time. 1804 wasn't around yet, and 2019 will be having 1804 version.
So it only runs on 1604?
Yeah.
Is it a dependency problem, or
somewhat dependency problem? But you probably could make it run on something on like I got it running on 1710, but later on it didn't work because it was dependency.
And saying this is the reason you guys that hate snaps and flatpaks, why they make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
Because if we had one of those, it would work on any distribution. You know, no dependency problems ever. So.
Well, I mean, it's along the same lines of you can run Java and Python on any platform, as long as you have the bytecode. You know,
right.
That's the same thing with the snap and the flatpaks.
Yeah, I was trying to install a Java program actually on my Arch system here the other day, and it required the Java runtime environment, JRE 8, which is what, like 4 versions back.
But it's actually they still maintain it because it has a long-term support. So it was kind of a milestone for Oracle because from 1.8 and above, they started supporting the OpenJDK. So the official Java package nowadays is the OpenJDK 11. So and Java is supposed to be backwards compatible. So maybe try to install OpenJDK and see how it goes.
No, I did. I thought it would. I thought the OpenJDK 11 would work, but no. Whoever programmed this thing, it really needed Oracle's version of
person
8.
probably hard-coded that.
Yeah.
It was probably hard-coded to require, especially that dependency.
Exactly. There's a file in the jars called manifest XML, and you can specify the major and minor versions, but it's almost always a bad practice to do that.
Yeah.
People sometimes don't know how to correctly code what dependency they can use.
Well, the good thing is, I mean, Java's like Python and other things. You know, you can have multiple versions on the system. It won't harm anything. But for purposes of bloat, you know, I have all these extra packages on the system that I really shouldn't have. So I know people get mad at me anytime I bring up bloat, but it's a real thing when talking about disk space. So.
No, I completely agree with you. So you have Python 2, Python 3, Java 1.8 dot something, OpenJDK 10, 11.
Yeah.
You have to update alternatives every time or set environment variables every time you run a program. So,
is that why you've been pushing the terminal lately?
Me?
Yeah. I mean, you seem to do those kind of like with a little bit of a tongue in cheek there, But I mean, I'm still fast. I still want to set up an Archie or a Gopher hole for the VM. But I mean, it's especially with the speed of the internet. I remember back when, if you had a 10 base T connection, you're in the lap of luxury, and if, you know, a search result might come back to you in I don't know, 1 second instead of milliseconds, and so that's I get a kick out of seeing some of the older technology still being used, and having people find out, oh wow, it's more than just www. You know, there's a whole another part of the internet, or the internets, should say.
Well, I think most people would be amazed, like setting up a Gopher server compared to setting up your traditional LAMP stack web server, how easy it is. It was basically me installing one program on Ubuntu server. It was PyGopherD. It's a Python program. You could read the code. It's not a terribly large program, the Python script that's basically running the server. And then, the Gopher holes themselves one plain text file, right?
Yeah.
Everything's so much more efficient back then. Now everybody wants to just get things overly complicated.
Well, it was developed by the University of Minnesota. That's why it's Gopher. And that was back when you had systems that if you had 2 megabytes on it for memory, it meant that you had the sugar daddy or something, or government funding. So that's. I think it's neat that it's still around. Maybe not in the usage that it was, but it's still around and can be used. So,
well, I mean, Gopher and HTTP came about at the same time. They were both, but they took different directions. Obviously, because HTTP became a lot more advanced as time went on. But when you installed the Apache web server and you open its config file, you'll go blind reading that thing, right? It's got so much stuff in it.
Especially if you want to do GIFX proxy or more advanced stuff.
Right.
Or use SSL certificates. It's a pain to configure.
Yep.
The thing about the web being bloated, I mean, I boot up my system I have an i3 GAP setup, and it uses up to 220 megs of RAM with everything booted, everything working. And then I open up Firefox, I open up a web page, and it uses 900 megabytes. I mean, 4 times more than the whole Linux kernel. How is that possible? How isn't that bloat?
Right. Give me just a second, guys. But Chris, you should definitely set up a Gopher hole, literally just the cheapest hosting you can get. You can get stuff for $1 or $2 a month. You don't need any real server. I mean, it's just a little bit of space. You won't need any bandwidth. It's not like massive traffic's going to start visiting your Gopher hole. So.
Right. Well, the thing is that I had the museum by a static IP also, and I gotta have start having some kind of justification for doing that, because I'm taking my own time getting the server online. So.
Yep.
So you're liking the job a lot better than?
Oh yeah. So my new job's been great. First couple of weeks, I got to get settled in and everything. Caused me to pull back from the channel a little bit the last 2 or 3 weeks, as far as I haven't created as much content as I would like. But now that things are starting to settle down, I should get back on a regular schedule, really starting now, this next week. But yeah, everything's going great as far as that. People in the chat were asking me about my ErgoDox keyboard. You guys can't see it here, but the ErgoDox works just fine. The only thing that's kind of strange about the ErgoDox, I've gotten comfortable with using it, no problem. But now I use the ErgoDox at home, then I go to work, and I have the traditional keyboard at work. And because the key layouts are really completely different, there is some adjustment. Every time I first get to work, it'll take me, 5 minutes maybe, to figure out how to use that keyboard again. But after a couple of minutes, I've got it. And then I come home, and then it takes me like a 5-minute adjustment to get used to the ErgoDox again, right?
Have you ever seen the video "Smarter Every Day" that where he was talking about having the reversed handlebars on the bike?
Yeah.
Yes,
I have
I've
seen that
this
video. Yeah.
I've seen this video. This is brilliant. This is really brilliant. But
Yeah,
after getting used to the reverse steering way, then you cannot ride the normal bike. Yeah,
Right.
that's
I
amazing.
mean, it's just like the keyboard.
Nice.
I mean,
Well, they've done similar. They've done these experiments before, where with your vision, making people wear special kind of glasses or some kind of headgear that basically flips your vision upside down. And believe it or not, after a little while, your brain gets used to it to where it's normal for you. But when you take it off, all of a sudden, it's like the world's upside down because you got used to it the other way. So, but yeah, you can adjust. Your brain actually will fix things for you when you flip it on its head.
Hey there.
How you doing, Ben? Hey, Ben, you look tired.
I just woke up.
Yeah, I slept in a little bit this morning myself. So.
Yeah, dude. I just totally, I slept past half the show. What happened was I had a late night, and then I was installing Calculate Linux, and I themed it to look like Gentoo, and I was like, "Bleh."
Yeah.
I installed the KDE 5 version of it, and I'm like, oh. I finally said, okay, hell with this, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
And then I woke up, and I was like, oh, crap, I forgot about the Zoom chat, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Anybody do the distro challenge this week for Big Daddy for Biddle?
What are they doing? I don't even. I haven't been keeping up.
Puppy Linux.
Oh, puppy.
Oh,
well,
dear God.
I don't think I'll be able to get on Biddle tonight. I got Field Day, which is this annual event for nationwide for ham radio operators.
And what's funny, you bring up Puppy. Puppy is one of the Linux one of the very few Linux distros I've never looked at on the channel ever, and people have been asking me about it forever. But Puppy is such a strange distro because it's so ultra minimal. It's really designed to be a live USB. Is really like, how are you going to review that on Biddle? Are you going to join Zoom on Puppy? Probably not. There's probably no way you could get it to work. Maybe there is. I don't know.
Well, the desktop looks pretty, sort of.
Well, you can get the desktop on anything, really, if you really want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't it based on Ubuntu? So I mean, you could install a bunch of stuff and eventually get Ubuntu, but Puppy's really stripped down. Like, there's not much to it.
I believe that Puppy is useful as a backup to have always a USB stick with you. Whenever something goes wrong, you can use it as a live CD. USB.
I have a version of Arch on my USB.
Well, the idea is that it is made to be portable, and that you can bring it up anywhere.
Right.
And it's not really made to be used as a production system.
But why would you do that rather than, say, mainline Ubuntu, for example?
Yeah,
because it's very quick. You can have it up and running within 2 minutes versus trying to have something unpack the entire package of, let's say, a full size Linux, even to run as a live version. This will be up and running.
Live build. I mean, you can use Debian's live build to build your own ISO and put stuff that you want in there, or put hooks that you need and do stuff that I don't know. I've built an ISO that has gpacked, for example, which in most cases when I need to repair stuff, it's the first thing I need, and then root, of course. So I don't I kind of don't see the purpose of that.
Yeah, I have a full install of Linux on this USB, so
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like
persistence there.
it's like the ham radio operators. I mean, I'm kind of counting on that this week, but the fact is that in the U.S. we can go as high as 1,500 watts, but there are people out there that will try to make contacts at 5 watts because it's a challenge to them, you know. And if it proves that they have great radio operating skills, you know, and have a great antenna system and what have you, then, you know, that they can
receivers, etc.
5 watts. So you got a tiny little puppy Linux. I mean, it was originally made to run off of a USB stick back when the USB were at best 32K or maybe 128K, you know, and so that was the idea behind it, and it's just kind of stuck with it.
Is Puppy one of those that runs in RAM still? Does it?
It's gotta, because I trying to do it with and run it off of the USB stick. You just hitting the stick so hard that it'd probably fail.
Yeah.
With, you know, with the powers.
And I will say, I mentioned why you might run it rather than Ubuntu on a USB stick. Puppy obviously has 32-bit versions that may be necessary for some people.
Okay, guys, I gotta get going. I just want to drop in and say hello. I gotta get the lunch order for my guys here, and we're gonna get ready for field day. So,
all right, Chris, thanks for stopping by. All right.
Yep.
Have a nice time. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so I don't know if I have time to check out Puppy before Big Daddy's show tonight.
yeah, same here.
Because as soon as this is over, yeah, I have to leave for a couple of hours. Is he doing a early show today, or is he doing a late show?
I believe normal.
Yeah.
Time.
But Puppy, I've never. People get mad at me when I say a distro doesn't interest me that much, but like a live distro, only a few of them kind of interest me, like Tills. Tills, obviously, I understand what the purpose of running something like Tills on a live USB stick, or for a system rescue stick. G-Parted Live is good, or System Rescue CD is good if you prefer a Gentoo base.
Or make your own.
Yeah, or just use whatever you're using, right?
Yeah.
If you happen to have a Ubuntu ISO or a Manjaro ISO or whatever, just put those on a stick and go with it. Yeah.
Ubuntu 32 minimal is great for this.
You hear me?
Yeah, Murray, we got you.
Is there an equivalent to Debian's live built-in Arch?
You can in Arch you can make your own ISO as well. Arch ISO. You can define exactly how you want to make your own ISO. To the last detail, basically.
But you have to do it by hand, right? You have to partition it.
No, you have
stub, etc. Bootloader.
No. You basically can define an installer like what's that? Like Calamares. You can define what installer to use and all that. But basically, if you completely bury it, it will be Arch install as it is. But if you then work on your own, like define stuff, you can have an installer and everything like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I linked to the Arch ISO wiki page too, if you want to check it out. And I've never made my own custom Arch ISO, but it's not difficult because obviously all the Arch-based distros out there that you see, tons of people are doing it, so it's not.
All the Arco make your own ISO are based on Arch ISO. Same with if you're not from this Arch ISO as a base.
That's kind of what Hackman's based on, is Arch ISO.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very handy tool for when you want to make Linux distros out of something.
Yeah, and I see the link you posted in the YouTube chat there, Mr. GFY, with this the Ham Shack podcast, Linux in the Ham Shack. Yeah, it's been around for years for those that are ham radio operators and Linux users. All right. Yeah, Ben, I thought you were basing your Hackman off of Manjaro, or you?
No, that I originally did, and Manjaro has been acting a little screwy for me lately, and so Matthew Moore and I decided to change it to Arch.
No. Well, good thing you didn't base it off of Antergos. So.
No, that project is dead. Yeah, last year we started a Arch project called Arch by MM, and then we decided to change it to Hackman, and because Hackman originally started as Arch by MM, but then the Arch community flagged us for that. So unfortunately, we had to change the name, and I came up with Hackman, and he gave the project over to me. Yeah. That's what happened with that.
All right.
So that's where it ended up. And then I'm still waiting for you to take a look at it. I know you said you had some issues with it in VirtualBox, but
yeah, I could never get it to load. At least the last ISO I downloaded, that's been a little while.
Well,
if you got a new one.
2019-03 that you want to download.
Okay.
So yeah, let me see if I can locate that one.
Yeah, if you can find it, post the link in the YouTube chat, because the folks in the
go
YouTube chat may want to check it out too.
I have the same Debian background in my PC.
Oh yeah, the Debian logo behind you there, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually my server that you're seeing behind me. It's a file server, and I just booted it into X. It's I was just loading it up to do a little slow tour, and unfortunately,
Ben always talks about Arch and Gentoo and all these unstable distros, and then lo and behold, he's got Debian running behind.
Yeah. It's funny. My laptop's running Calculate, which is based on Gentoo, and then my tower behind me is a Ryzen 1600, and it's running Debian.
Please tell me you're using the SID repository though.
No, it's using testing.
It's stable. No, testing.
Testing actually is probably the best version of using. Stable enough.
Yeah, I didn't want to overdo it by loading it to SID.
I mean, testing isn't that's what Ubuntu bases off of anyway, isn't it? The testing branch, yeah.
Right.
So does Kali and the other Debian base.
Yeah.
Big Pod, we have two of you.
Yeah, one of them crashed me. I guess one of the Docker images didn't like my computer, or vice versa.
Okay.
I used to save, but it broke. I attempted to do a full upgrade and it broke once. So from then on, testing only.
Yeah, I've had SID break on me pretty much every time I've ever tried it. It'll eventually have some issues.
Yeah.
And I posted the Hackman Linux link in the chat.
All right.
Have you ever used Sparky Linux? It's also based on Debian.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sparky is not bad. I've taken a look at it.
Computers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Sparky gets a lot of love. It seems like a lot of people really like that distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Never tried it.
Yeah, if you.
I use it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say, it's just another Debian-based distribution that's pretty user-friendly and.
Yeah, exactly. It's user-friendly. It's very light on resources, and I use it in a very small, old laptop that I carry with me in the classroom to have presentations in PDF. So it's really nice and very stable. I don't remember the last time I rebooted. Yeah. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I've thought about maybe eventually just throwing Debian's SID on my main production machine and living in the Debian world again for a little while. But I would miss the AUR. That's the reason, I stay on Arch is, I could go to other rolling release distros like Debian or SUSE Tumbleweed or Gentoo even, but I think I would miss the AUR. You're not going to have the same repositories with any other distro as far as there's nothing I can't get on Arch. I never have to build anything from source in Arch ever.
No.
I can find a package. And now with snaps and flatpaks, it just makes the problem even less so.
Mm-hmm.
So
I believe you use.
I'm sorry, what was?
Go on.
No, repeat that. What was that?
I wanted to ask, because I have never used snap packages, how do they compare to the AUR? I mean, are they more stable, easier? I've used.
Well, I will say
the AUR, and I really liked it. I like the whole concept of it.
Yeah.
It seems
How do snaps compare to anything from the AUR? The AUR is, community built packages,
Yes.
and there's a lot of packages in the AUR that just will not work.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that are broken in the AUR, where you would hope any snap pack that you get from the Snap Store, Canonical Snap Store, and it doesn't matter what distribution you're in, it all comes from Snapcraft, the Canonical Snap Store. They've got several hundred now, I think, snaps, maybe thousands by now. They keep adding more. Those things are curated, and you would hope they should run properly on your system.
They took the words out of my mouth. They curate them all the time. They check to see if you're using any ports that you shouldn't be, and they won't let it go into production if you do. So they do a really good job that way.
In theory, they should be a lot safer to run snaps than just anything you install from the AUR.
I've taught myself how to create app images, and that's the Wild West. There's actually no control. You can put anything you want in there, and it's excellent. I'm having a lot of fun doing that on it. But it's the opposite of snaps. App images are lightweight, and the snaps they have Ubuntu 16.04 in them, so they're heavyweight. The things that are like Nextcloud, 200 megabytes works perfectly in snaps.
I love the Nextcloud snap. If you're going to install Nextcloud on a server, do it with snaps, because then you don't have to worry about the LAMP stack, because that's a dependency. It's already part of the snap.
I just downloaded it and ran it. It works beautifully. That's what snaps are good for. Large, major applications.
Yeah.
App images are good. I've got one that I created, which is 5 megabytes. The app images itself is not loaded. It's what you put in it. Like if you put Electron app inside of it, you've got 200 megabytes pretty much from the start there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No. And one of the guys in the chat is saying there's an infected snap out in the wild for Melody. I don't know what Melody is. You could get things infected with snaps and flatpaks, because whoever builds them could put something malicious in there. You hope somebody checks it, but that's with any package formatting. That's not a problem with either snap or flatpak.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of it. If Big Pod wanted to create a snap pack and put a crypto miner in there, he could do it. He could probably get it listed on the Snap Store, maybe slip it by somebody.
Probably I could get it in there if I really wanted.
Yeah, especially if it was something programmed in C#. Nobody really reads C#, so they're not going to audit his code. So
I could plug it in really easily.
Yeah.
I could have even be pre-built programs, so there is no source code anywhere. Mm-hmm. It will just build a program into basically binaries, flop binaries in who will go check it out. No open source. Put a proprietary license on it, and that's it.
Right.
There is some app images that I learned while creating it that most people don't know that it's useful for end users. There are two types of app images, type 1 and type 2. And type 1, type 2 came out somewhere around 8 months ago. Don't quote me on it. Type 1 app images use the same configuration as your distro. So if you have, say, Atom IDE from the Debian repository and an Atom app image, they will both use the same configuration files. So they can't, if you set one up for Java and the other one for, say, Python, they'll conflict. If you set the JavaScript one on first and then the Python, and then come back to the JavaScript, it'll have the Python stuff. Now, type 2 defaults to the same, but they have another option. In your folder where you have your app image, you can create 2 folders. Say it's atom.image appimage.home, atom.image appimage.config, and it will use the configuration files there and will not conflict with the ones in your system. Right. So you can have
multiple versions and they don't conflict. Right.
You can also clone your Atom app image. You can call it Atom app image 1, and then have your home 1 and home 2. So you can actually clone your images and have multiple. You can have as many as you want.
Right.
So that worked pretty well. And not many people know that.
Well, that's one of the things with these containerized package formats. You know, a lot of people complain about them, but sometimes you need to run multiple versions of the same program. How do you do that? Well, it's hard, but with, you know, these universal formats, you can have multiple versions of anything, you know, VLC or whatever, your web browser that's available as a snap pack. And it doesn't mess up your system in any way. You know, they run independently of each other. They're sandboxed against each other. So
if it's command line program, run Docker. If you have a Docker image.
Yeah.
Well, I wrote a bash function. I put it in an app image, and I have about 1,600 functions. You can put them all in the app image, and then use the functions I want. I don't have to install those 1,600 functions on the target system. Just take that image. So that makes it a lot better too.
And then the chat Telcerus says today's lesson is think before you run anything as root. Well, that goes without saying. Obviously, you have to type a password to run anything as root. That should be the warning, right? If you got to type a password to do something, you should think before you execute that. I would be worried though about like a snap or a flat or a app image. If it required escalated privileges, I would think long and hard about running that. Unless it came from a trusted source, like it's a known program by a big corporation, maybe. If it was somebody that packaged up some game or something, I probably wouldn't run that.
As snap packages, what I trust is what Snapcraft team does, or what known publishers like, let's say, for example, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, stuff like that.
Yeah, I trust Microsoft snaps. Right?
Yeah, I don't install stuff like that some random guy put on web.
And people ask me this about, I had this question come up about GitHub. Do I just go get anything off of GitHub and run it without reading it? Well, it depends on what it is. Like Microsoft has code on GitHub. They've got, I might go run their stuff, but you know, Big Pod's bash script, you know, I may read that. I'm going to read that before I execute it, right? Just don't go get anything off of GitHub and run it.
With the type 2 app images, you can run it with operand -- app image -extract, and it'll take all the files out and put them in flat folders, and you can protect every file and folder in there.
Right, because it's just an archive anyway. The app. Yeah.
I don't know, I just want to say that Microsoft is the biggest contributor to open source in the world.
Right.
Most open source repositories on GitHub.
Well, Microsoft guys on GitHub, so I mean, it's
but they had it before they bought it.
Sorry, I need to go, so I want to say bye-bye.
All right.
And it was great.
Thanks for hanging out with you.
Bye. Till the next one.
Yeah, come back and see us. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Just remember something. I read from the guy Scott Guthrie, who is the leader of one part of Microsoft. He made a proposal to buy GitHub long before they even started the buy process. Why? But he put it in the desk right away when he printed it. Why? Because he knew that if they did it, it would be people would start even more hating Microsoft. So first, he put a proposition to leadership to start being more open source. And that's how it all began. Because they wanted to have like even more power in the field open source, because they were out of it. He said they were out of it, and if they want to do anything in field open source or code, they must first themselves become open source company.
Yeah. Look how far they've come. Now they have GitHub, and now they have the Atom IDE. So.
And VS Code is same open source.
When did you have the GitHub pay system up and running on that? The alternative to Patreon?
Yeah, they've done quite some work for.
Yeah, you're talking about the new the GitHub sponsor program.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
Coming.
Microsoft's done some work to better open source community on GitHub, if you ask me.
Yeah, a lot of open source developers have absolutely no idea how to raise money.
Yeah.
So the fact that now Microsoft is making it so easy with that button's just on your GitHub repository, right? Anybody can
enable it, and that's it.
Just
it's
donate
not
to the project
by default, but you can enable it really easy.
Because most developers have no idea
what they're doing.
Many of them don't even interact with the community. You know, all they want to do is code. So,
yeah.
You're talking about me again. I'm a retired programmer. That's the one.
Yeah.
Prefer the company of a terminal and a keyboard.
Yeah. One of the things I've complained about a lot of Linux distributions, some of them are so bad at raising money, and then that they don't have money to fund development. You know, sometimes they don't have money to pay their hosting bills, and they have absolutely nothing on their site about donating with Patreon or PayPal and just basic things. I think I would take for granted that some of these guys, you know, like the Slackware devs, forever weren't really making any money, and that's one of the most important distributions out there. Like, dude, just put a PayPal button on your website. You know, people will donate a few bucks when they grab your ISO. I had a discussion too with a dev of another distribution. I won't say the dev's name or the distribution, but he reached out to me and said he was having a problem with his distribution raising money. And I told him, I was like, Patreon, you know, I know it's not free as in the sense of Richard Stallman free, but Patreon is a great platform. There's so many people already on it anyway. You know, just set up a Patreon page and a few people will subscribe, and you'll have a steady income of a little bit of money that you can rely on every month.
Yeah.
And he did that, and it worked out. So
nice.
Yeah. But so many of them just have no idea. Like, they know they need money, but they don't even know where to start. Ubuntu actually did it brilliantly. Is when you go and grab the Ubuntu ISO, what's the first thing you see? It's a little slider thing where you decide what to donate to them. So that's the Elementary, of course, does that too. So
it's not a bad thing. I mean, actually, it's fair enough.
No, it makes a lot of sense actually on the ISO download, because if you're using that product, you probably should give them a couple of bucks.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
Right.
That's why on one side, I like people are hating companies that sell software or that hide source code. It's not really. They most of the stuff that they do, they are bigger companies. They're not just a guy or two guys who develop together and make it open source. They're probably hundreds of employees, and their paychecks rely on that.
Well, I know where you're probably going with this, Big Pod, is typically when we talk about this, we're talking about game development. You can't have open source game development because it requires too much money. It has to be proprietary software.
Basically, if you wanna protect yourself so you actually get some money, you need to closed source it, protect it at least somewhat.
Yeah, to create some of these like AAA title games, the amount of money spent is enormous.
Yeah, that's too much money. Right. They need to recover at least some money and gain some money. Because why they then do that?
And there are hundreds of people involved most of the times, because I mean, it is one of the hardest things to build in the software development world.
Yeah, and then a lot of
aspects.
Yeah, a lot of these proprietary software projects, you know, the really ambitious ones that they know are going to take a lot of money. Sometimes even those guys try to crowdfund, right? Like,
Indeed, yes.
Like one thing that I really understand people when they hate, like either it be games or, for example, even Microsoft for close sourcing some of their software. It isn't just them they have to worry. They have to worry about what the people who give money to them outside of those who buy, will say the people who have the stockholders. Those are the real kings. Those hold the keys to the kingdom. And if they say that must be sold, they can't really give it away as an open source, because then they won't get money from that, really. And on the same route, they can't really hope for donations, because they can't hope for some whale to drop a couple of $100,000 so they can cover those 100-200 guys' paychecks.
Well, public companies obviously have to worry about stock price, because that's you know, the stock drops, you lose billions potentially with a company like Microsoft, for example.
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for the Canonical initial public offering so I can get in on the ground level and buy some Canonical before Microsoft buys it, and then I make a killing, right? So that's the goal.
I hope you're right about that.
I hope I'm right too, because if they have an IPO, I'm definitely going to jump on it.
Maybe that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy a couple of shares of Canonical as well,
because it's turning into a profitable company, and you assume it's on the uptick, and then maybe I hope a larger company like Microsoft, when they purchase it, I would get rewarded very handsomely.
Also, this Ubuntu server is actually a pretty decent distribution. I mean,
Ubuntu server is great.
Good. Yes, I agree.
And that's actually one of the reasons Microsoft will even think about buying Canonical. It's not desktop. It's actually what they can offer in cloud space. It's
all the cloud servers are all Ubuntu all the time.
Kings now, and they will probably want to have some even more control in cloud space and cloud servers. And that's where Ubuntu comes.
Right.
From that's just a personal view, but I always found the Ubuntu server version way easier to manage than, say, CentOS, for example. Way more compatible with every hardware I've tried it on. I mean,
and a lot more stable, plus a lot more, you get a lot newer software on it.
Right. Well, when you say stable, stick to the LTS.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, obviously, yes.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah, right. You're running it on a server, so
right.
Yeah.
You might be a couple of versions behind, but that doesn't matter. I mean, Also, even full dist upgrades work, actually. Kind of nice. I went from 16 to 18, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be on the, when we're talking about stability, you don't have to be on LTS 1804. You could still be on 1604 because it's still supported. Yeah. Wasn't it supported for 5 years? Now 1804 has the 10-year support. So you don't have to be on the latest LTS. You can be on one of the old LTSs.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a good practice to use Ubuntu for service. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my preference, but
maybe also my preference. But I had a lot more luck with Ubuntu servers than Debian servers.
Typically, what I do is
Debian is alright too.
Yeah, but I had just less problems. Let's say that.
Yeah. Ubuntu is more compatible out of the box.
Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I run
when I'm signing up for any kind of hosting account, if I want to set up some web server or something, if they offer either Debian or Ubuntu LTS, I typically go that route because I'm pretty comfortable setting those up. CentOS is not bad. Most of them all offer CentOS, so I'm comfortable with that too. So
I'm running exclusively Debian on home. I'm the one guy who's using Proxmox on everything.
And a lot more
And
stable plus
hold up.
a lot newer. Jack has some sort of microphone routed to microphone port because
he
I could hear myself.
Well, Jack was having problems earlier trying to get in. Remember, he had the music playing too. Obviously, make sure you're wearing headphones or earbuds or you're going to get bad feedback. And then also make sure to check your outputs. Make sure the right device is being outputted.
Yeah.
Now, I forget where we were at before all of that. Let's see. Yeah, Ubuntu is dropping 32-bit. I was actually going to bring that up, Mr. GFY in the chat. What do you guys think?
Finally.
I don't mind. People are mad because it's going to kill games because so many games require these 32-bit libraries. And
Wine developers are complaining too.
But I get that. How many people really use Wine on Linux?
Not too many, especially Ubuntu.
I get some of you guys use Wine, and it matters to you. But in the larger picture to Ubuntu, how many people really install and use Wine?
Not too many.
Very small percentage of people out there.
And I like to say those who run 32-bit software on 64-bit, come on.
Right.
I don't even.
If you really can, run 64-bit.
I'm even opting out the configuration option for 32-bit support in the kernel. I mean, I don't even care.
Yeah.
And I only download games from Steam that run native on Linux.
Yeah, me too. I haven't played with Proton. I played with it when the beta came out just to see it. Yeah, it kind of works. The technology works, but I still don't want to buy a game that doesn't have a native Linux client.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Right.
If you want to play a game that is mainly distributed for Windows, you can always pass with your GPU to the VM and play it. I mean, in Windows. It will never run properly on Linux either way. I mean, I haven't had any luck with either Wine or Proton or Lutris or all that stuff.
Yeah.
I had success on games with Wine, but on no game that I tried to install through Proton worked.
I see.
The same game ran in Wine perfectly, on Proton didn't run. But I in some way I don't install almost any 32-bit software because in today's day and time, if you can't have a 64-bit client application, come on.
Because well, people complain.
I actually shame those developers, e.g. Valve. They don't offer 64-bit Steam for Linux.
Here's the thing. How long are you going to hold on to 32-bit? It eventually has to go away. It's the same thing with all these distros dropping their 32-bit images.
Yeah.
Eventually, you have to stop supporting it at some point. It's the same thing with, Python 2 will never die. Eventually, some distros out there have to decide, we're just not going to ship with Python 2 installed anymore. Somebody just has to be the first one, and then everybody else, like when Ubuntu does this, they will not be the only. I guarantee you, Fedora is going to do the exact same thing. And then SUSE will do it. This is the way. One person has to stick their neck out, and then the rest follow. So.
And really, for Canonical, this is just money thrown out if they support 32-bit for too much time, because it's just money that's just thrown out. If it's a really small number of users, basically, that doesn't mean anything to them.
And keep in mind, Canonical is a company. Ubuntu, there's Ubuntu desktop that probably tens of millions of people use, but there's Ubuntu server that has hundreds of millions of installations out there. Probably they're worried about that, right? They're not worried about the people that run wine on
users.
Right. That's not that doesn't make them any money at all. They make zero money off of that. So.
They don't worry about those desktop users who have ancient hardware.
And if you run Ubuntu and you're worried about this, people get so attached to their Linux distro. Guys, you are not married to the distribution you're running. I'm running Arco today, and it's been running great. I like it. It's a great distribution. I would have no problems. It would not pain me to format my drive right now and install any other distribution you guys vote on. Like, I could put it to a poll, and I could install something else and run it, and probably be happy with that. You're not married to these Linux distributions. Just install something else.
I like to quote, what's his name? Chris Titus. Distribution doesn't matter.
It really doesn't.
It's all about the installer. What's it called? The repository.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what you're running, do you have the same shell underneath? Bash is still there, right? All the commands you used to run
are there. It's just different package manager.
Right.
All the desktop environments are there. I mean,
right.
If they run there, you can install it yourself. You can get a turbo and install it yourself.
Here's the thing: if you saved all your configs on something like GitHub or GitLab, you just pull those things down. And my Gentoo install would look exactly like my Ubuntu install. Exactly. It would function the same way. You would know no difference until I did something with the package manager. You have apt versus emerge.
Open up, what's its name?
A screenfetch or a neofetch or something.
Maybe if you open up a terminal, if you have a neofetch.
Yeah.
Then you would know.
Guys, actually, on that, yesterday I installed the screenfetch-c, which is a screenfetch written in C. And it actually performs 10 times better than the bash base.
Well, I would expect, because isn't isn't it just a big bash script?
Yeah,
it's like a very long bash script.
Really slow. Really, I mean.
Well, we've mentioned this before. Once your bash scripts and once your Python scripts get to a certain length as far as lines of code, maybe you pick the wrong thing to write them in.
Yes.
Right.
If it is, if a script is longer than, I don't know, 200, 300 lines, then you probably should switch to a real programming language.
Yeah, because I was thinking bigger than that. Yeah, because I've seen people sharing bash scripts on GitHub that were 2,000, 3,000 lines. And
when a certain number, you probably should think of switching to a real programming language that compiles.
I've got a great programming language if you're in Python. I'm teaching myself Nim, which is almost it's close to Python as you can have without being Python, but it compiles to a binary, a single binary. It's a wonderful language. It's been around since 2006, and I wrote 3 programs in it in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
8K, 53K, with 33K binary size.
You can also compile Python to C or C++. I don't know what through.
Yeah, you can.
Some means, but it works quite good.
Actually, but for a thing like a screenfetch, C++ or Java or I don't know any other, or Go would be an overkill, I think. I mean, if you see the C code, it's nothing. It's around 300-400 lines of code.
Yeah.
Also, there is a thing called PyPy for Python that is usually way faster than the usual Python interpreter. Not everything is compatible with it, but you can try it.
Yeah, basically what interpreter you use, that's important.
Well, you really need to adhere to the suckless philosophy. Everything should be written in C when appropriate. Really small stuff, it's okay for bash scripting. But other than that, that's the only 2 options with suckless: bash scripting or C. That's it.
I use
bash scripting. Bash is really slow. If you're going to script something else. Even Python is better than bash for scripting, really.
It's definitely much more readable code. Like when you get a really long bash script, it's easy to get lost in those things.
Yeah, and bash is really, really, really slow. So if you're gonna
tell us what you really think there, Big Pod.
I don't like bash itself. It's like, I don't like it.
You don't do a lot of bash scripting, do you?
No, I rather write a program than a script.
Actually, it's what you guys said before. If you have to do something more complex than I don't know, manipulate some files or to automate some usual sysadmin stuff, you are better off writing it in a real programming language.
Yeah.
I mean, Bash wasn't designed to do complex logic.
At least it should be at least something that is at least compiled to IL, something like that, if not to machine code.
Oh, there are so many options. I mean, with LLVM, you could practically write it in JavaScript, for God's sake. I mean,
Wow.
No, you can use Node if you really want to.
Yeah, you could.
Yes, indeed. I'm not a supporter of Node.js, but yeah, you could. It's still better than Bash in ways.
Yeah.
Eventually, everything's going to be Electron. So.
Well, if Microsoft goes through with their experiment, maybe, because if Blazor Electron works really well, then why not? Because in some ways, if you can replace JS with C#, that would be great.
I'm not against the technology. It's just the speed of this stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
I like that you can like develop a single UI for web, for desktop application. So to those who would like to run an application on their computer as a desktop application, you can have same UI as the guy who runs it in a browser.
Right.
That's why it's strong.
For applications that are GUI based, yes, indeed. But for everything else that does system work, or for example, at what I do, performance is everything. I mean, I run programs that run for days.
Yeah.
I have a program in Python called isPrime. I copied it down, and you give it a large number. It takes 38 seconds to determine that it's not prime. I wrote it in NIM, 5 seconds.
If you try it in C or C++ or Java, it's going to probably, or Go or Rust, it's going to probably go under a second.
Probably, yeah, might be not because IL, but something like.
Hey, Big Bud.
C.
I'm gonna step away for just a second. I'll be right back.
Sure.
But you guys continue with the prime number talk.
While I am a big fan of C#, I do believe it's somewhat slow. And
no, it's not slow actually. It's not slow. No.
Depending on how you compile it, if you use mono ahead of time, it will be more fast than .NET Core, which is just in time compiles. So basically, IL.
Just in time is actually a very, very good practice. I mean, nowadays the Java guys, I mean, they have two versions: the regular JVM and the Graal VM. The regular JVM does just-in-time compilation.
Yeah.
So it keeps optimizing the bytecode. It's also called hotspot VM because it detects the hotspots of the code. And it's actually way better than the other version, which does
so basically for most stuff the just-in-time compiling works great, and it's just performance ahead of time, because one of the things is you're just swapping out the bottom part, the part that actually compiles. So you don't need to recompile software to get it running on newer version of software.
Indeed.
Exactly, if it's like some really groundbreaking change in the engine.
Indeed.
Lua has a nice just-in-time compiler. Lua has 5.3 broke 5.2, which broke 5.1, which broke 5.0. So the just-in-time compilers don't work with 5.3, and they're complaining because they can't get it up on the latest release, which is a problem with interpreters in general, like Lua and Python, and things like that. You have to keep multiple versions around often the time just to get them going.
That's always a bad thing. I mean, we were discussing it with Derek before. It feels like you have to keep bloat in your setup.
Yeah,
it does.
just saying that the ahead of time is better is really not good to say, because everything has a place. And just so I remember that even C and C++ in some cases are just-in-time compiled, or at least they are IL'd, because if you have dynamic libraries or shared libraries, like on Linux where you have shared objects, when you have shared objects, you can't have fully compiled at compile time. You can't have to machine language. That's why if you remove GCC or GCC, at least the runtime part from your system, any software that is GCC compiled won't work.
Yes.
That's because
it cannot link. It can't load.
It doesn't have a middle part that actually runs the software. It doesn't have the runtime. Even if you leave the libraries where they are, it won't work because it doesn't have the runtime part.
Yeah, that loads when an executable loads.
Yeah.
Some parts of the memory it acquires are reserved for the shared objects that it's going to use. It's the same in Windows, I think, with the DLLs.
Yeah, that's why, for example, on what is called on Android, you can't run GCC compiled software if it isn't statically compiled. What static compiled is directly into machine code.
Yes.
Because it has everything inside.
Yeah, every object it has to use.
Every object is already in. It isn't dynamically linked to the location. It is, or to the runtime, and then to location. It is linked. It is inside the binary.
I think in Android, can you in any way run native programs? I mean,
you can. But it must be either statically linked or compiled with Google's own
CLang, you mean?
No, it's not CLang. They use something called Bionic. It's basically their own implementation.
I see.
It's their own implementation of C and C++, the runtime.
Hey, Big Pod. I'm sitting here just browsing the net for some news here. For Linux news, actually, and one of the big things I'm reading, when did Microsoft unveil its new Windows terminal?
On the build 2019. Remember when you were first time doing it with Awesome, when I was just popped in for a second before I went to watch it. Yeah, on one of the panels, they unveiled they're redoing their terminal, their command line on Windows, and they unveiled Windows Terminal. Basically, it will be a common layer for all type of stuff they do, like command line stuff they do. Basically, you can still use the old CMD, or you can use CMD inside Windows Terminal.
You can also use BAS and other styles, I think.
Yeah, you can use VSL, which is Microsoft, where they in the new versions will use Linux kernel to do that, and now they just emulate it. But their Windows Terminal is probably going to be great for Windows. It looked great.
Very good.
It does. It does look good.
Yeah. It does GPU rendering, which is something I always like.
Yeah.
Like Alacrity or Kitty.
Great. To have.
And you can access both PowerShell and the subsystem for Linux.
Yeah, you can use CMD, subsystem for Linux, SSH, PowerShell, or if you have some other shell installed, you can use that too.
Here.
Hey, Mark.
Oh boy, your name just
Mark, that dog behind you is tearing something up.
Go ahead, y'all. I can't hear y'all, but I will be able to in just a sec.
All right.
I know we're about to finish up. It's fine. Go ahead and continue conversation. You're fine.
Has anyone used the new Dropbox? I dropped Dropbox 5 years ago.
No, I dropped Dropbox when they said they would no longer support anything but unencrypted Extend 4.
I never really used Dropbox, and I'm the guy who uses OneDrive.
Yeah. Well, I use OneDrive now at work, but what I went to when Dropbox did their shenanigans a few months ago is I went to Megasync, which does have an AUR package, and it's really nice.
What's it called?
Megasync.
Is it a Linux type of deal?
Yeah, they have Linux clients. You can have an Android app. It's like Dropbox. It's just a different service. It's the website. If you want to go to the website, let me pull up. Because the website I don't think is megasync.com. I think it's got a different extension. Mega.nz. So it's I'm assuming that's New Zealand. They've been around for a while. It's a big Dropbox-like site that's been around forever. Their free storage is plenty of storage too.
I don't want to use GitHub. I tried it once. I didn't get along with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to keep a folder synced on my computer with the GitHub system. So
I'm using Google Drive. I don't know if that's a good practice, but
use whatever works for you. Really, at the end of it,
Well,
doesn't really matter because
yeah. Well, you can't trash Google Drive when you just said you use OneDrive. So
I could.
oh no, definitely not.
I could really. I could.
I could too, because I see Google in some ways in a worse light than Microsoft, really. But I don't want to get off track on that, because that'll get me in trouble.
Whether it is Google, Microsoft, or some other guy, you have to. At the end, you have to trust someone.
That's true.
And if it is someone you at least think you know, it is a lot better than someone that you don't know. That's why I use Microsoft, because at least I think I know why they are doing that and all that.
maybe Mozilla is going to come up with a Dropbox. They're looking for some sort of pay system up there, so maybe that's
yeah. I mean, they're already doing the file sharing thing with the Firefox Send, so yeah, maybe they would start doing something like that. I don't know. They'd have to figure out a way to monetize it in some way.
well,
And I don't think it's gonna be soon.
Mm-hmm. Mozilla really needs to figure out how to make some money.
Yeah. Mozilla is one of those corporations you have to, that waits for the money to drop from the sky.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, guys.
They are doing some investment with the whole Mozilla Foundation thing in startups and stuff, but I don't think it went well.
Yeah.
Haven't seen anything really successful come out of that. And they invested actually a lot of money there.
I tried to get something earlier in the month. It didn't work, but I got close. I'm using XFCE desktop. I have LXQT on it. So to run them together, you log into XFCE, you log out to the login manager, then you log into LXQT, and then you log out and you log back in. Some guy had a system where you don't have to do that. You can install LXQT in the display window 1. So you can do a Control-Alt-F8 into the LXQT, Control-Alt-F7 back into XFCE, and then Control back F8, so you can switch back and forth. But it didn't quite work. I got it installed, but it did Control-Alt-F8, it worked. Control-Alt-F7 back in to XFCE, Control-Alt-F8 and a blank screen. And it destroyed the .xauthority file in the home folder. So I'm thinking that each desktop wants to own the home folder. And
Yes, it does.
There's stuff you can't just really switch between two different ones that are open at the same time. You must
unless you are logging in as a different user in each.
Yeah, that's why you should log out before you log in at the other one.
It was worth a try.
I believe it. OpenBox doesn't even allow you to log in if it's logged in in another GUI session.
Some window managers do. I mean, I've done it with i3 without problems, but there is really no purpose on that.
Yeah, I believe OpenBox didn't allow me to box if I was opening GNOME already. It put an error that I was already logged in GUI session somewhere else.
You're talking about just swapping out just switching window managers and
running two window managers twice.
Yeah, running two at once. Yeah.
If you are logged in, if you log in as the same user, you're gonna have problems.
You're gonna have big problems, yeah.
Yes, because it logs files. X Authority, for example, you don't know what its desktop or window manager is gonna do.
Clobbered my X Authority
yeah.
That's why I don't use auto login on anything. So it automatically drops me to IDM, so I can just choose whatever I want the day.
You're using a desktop display manager?
Yeah.
Like IDM or something?
I use IDM, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I log in a plain old terminal, I mean.
Yeah, I always install LightDM. That's always been my thing. Because I run multiple window managers. You know, I always have half a dozen installed. Login manager makes things a little easier. So.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It does. Either way, if you don't, you're gonna have to change your X in itac every time. Yeah. So.
And LightDM, as the name implies, it's kind of light. You know, it's not a lot of dependencies or anything. So.
Works.
And I prefer it than the old StartX, right? I don't like fooling with the init files and all that.
Because at the end of it's just executing a command, nothing else.
Right.
I don't care if it's a nice thing that I see before it does that.
Yeah.
I was listening to Michael on Big Daddy the other day. I was surprised he's a KDE fan. He can save his KDE config files and clone his system just like you can with, say, QPal or one of the other things.
Yeah, you should be able to do that with all the big desktop environments too. Most people, I don't think, know that you can do that, but they all save config files somewhere in the home directory.
Only that I know that doesn't is Gnome, but because they have database style saving, but you need to export it into file through command line. It's not a hard process. Just need to know the right namespace which you need to export.
Yeah. And the reason somebody like Michael Tux Digital would do that is he probably has so many key bindings and things, you know, more advanced stuff than what your typical desktop user would use. And he wants to save those configs so he doesn't, every time he reinstalls, he doesn't have to go back and add all that stuff.
I'm surprised they could do it. That's shocking, but
still, somebody needs to save the details in configuration files, right, to a database like GNOME Diet or to a file. It isn't really like you have to. Somebody have to save so you know what the display manager is doing or the desktop is doing, because it can just know out of the air.
Right. Here's the thing: all your graphical applications, anything that has settings of any kind. How does it remember those? It writes them to a config file somewhere, usually in your home directory, in the .config directory. So look for .config / name of program, and you will see config files for everything. Zoom has a config file. We're in Zoom right now. Zoom has config, so it remembers what you set for your output and input, so the next time you launch Zoom, it doesn't forget it all.
And what you set for your name and all that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, which it won't let me right now. I'm trying to set it for next time. It won't let me go back into the settings like it would before when I first started. I just created a new Zoom account and I'm a new Patreon. Got the link and everything. But I'll figure it out. I know you're about to close up.
Yeah, we'll be here for a few minutes, Mark. What distro are you running?
I'm running Peppermint 10. I love it, actually. It's given me a few problems, but it's nothing I stayed with it. I stuck with it. Things worked out.
Well, everything's going to give you problems. I mean, you're going to run into little issues, paper cuts with everything. So
yeah, and it wasn't too terrible. I mean, it was I had downloads and everything cutting in and out, but where the browsers would crash. And come to find out, I don't know if it was you or Tom that reported on it. There was something in Mozilla causing that to happen. Funny thing is, this was happening in Chrome and Chromium and Mozilla and Waterfox.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was pretty nasty because I had to have like certain files, archives that I was trying to download from Backblaze. So for my work, but it worked itself out. I posted on the Peppermint forum, super nice. Zeb was on there, big boss Zebedee. So
well, of course, he's Peppermint's main dev, right?
See, I didn't realize that. I thought
well, he's not really their main dev, but yeah, he's
one of the guys.
He's part of the team, yeah.
Well, but, he was awfully nice, better than Solus OS forums.
Yeah,
well, that's forums though. I mean, that's everybody's forums.
That has a bit of an effect from Arch, so you should understand that.
Right. Yeah. Did they tell you the RTFM?
Budgie, but
did they tell you the RTFM?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's. I'm sorry, Big Pot. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I was just. That was me. I was asking you. Did they tell you the RTFM? Was that the problem?
No, it's not that. I have no issue with RTFM, really. You don't have to cuss me, but I have no issue doing that.
Oh.
But no, it's I reported a security issue, which, honest to God, was my findings with the security software I ran, and they gave me the 3rd degree, saying that I made an inflammatory comment. I've never seen it. Was like a crap show. I was like, I ain't never in my life. So if somebody come to me and reported a security issue, I take it pretty serious.
I found the solution because I too, I love the Budgie desktop environment. As far as the big desktop environments, I really love where it's going, and I want to support Budgie.
Yeah.
I got mixed feelings about Solus, but I found the solution. That laptop behind me, that's Ubuntu Budgie 1904, and it's great. And I donate money actually to the Ubuntu Budgie team. I'm a patron of theirs because they're doing. I mean, the last couple of releases of Ubuntu Budgie have been so good. I really think mainline Ubuntu should be Ubuntu Budgie. I mean, that's.
I agree. And the last time I tried it, I think I tried a beta or something. I had all kinds of issues. But as far as, and that's understandable with the beta. Plus, they're on Ubuntu testing now, so that explains a lot.
And the reason I like giving money to the Ubuntu Budgie guys is because I didn't know where Solus was going when Ike left. I didn't know who was going to keep developing the Budgie desktop environment. I was like, well, the Ubuntu guys are not going anywhere. So
I've got to go a little easier on them. They've got a lot on their plate. I didn't mean to be, I wasn't trying to attack Alan or nothing, Alan Pope at all. I was just saying that based on my experience, I've had nothing but issues. But I come to find out I was using like an old spinning hard drive that I had for years. It very well may be that hard drive, even though my diagnostics tool showed it as clean and not having bad sectors. That still doesn't mean it's not starting to get weaker. And maybe it had bad sectors after the fact, months or so after I tested it. So I don't know what it was, but I've been having all kinds of bugs and quirkiness, and part of that is growing pains from them switching over from stable to testing, I'm sure. I feel like they'll eventually get it all worked out. And it seems to be doing better. Seems better than before, at least in Peppermint. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. I think I just had a bad string of bad luck with Ubuntu. So I'm going to put Ubuntu Budgie on the second build that I'm building out this evening and see how that works.
Well, I've had plenty of distros that, depending on what ISO I download, what machine I try to put on them, I have problems with. You guys know I love Manjaro. I think Manjaro is a great distro. When I tried to install it on this machine when I first got it, I couldn't even get the live environment to boot up because of the driver issues with the Radeon 7, which was kind of newish at the time. I couldn't even get the live ISO, so I couldn't install it. That doesn't mean Manjaro is a horrible distro, or I just moved to something else, right? Again, we're not married to these distributions, so I took the Manjaro stick, I threw it, and then I grabbed the Arco stick and I plugged it in. So.
Yeah, Arco's always ran pretty solid for me. I've not really had any issues out of Arco. With most any machine that I run it on. I don't remember having anything in Arco that couldn't at least be fixed by just going back to the LTS kernel. It was fine.
Yeah.
A lot of time, I don't think people realize if you're like newer to Linux and you're on here today, keep that in mind. If you're having issues with like newer hardware or even older hardware, try going to an LTS kernel. And I can't remember exactly how to do that. Maybe DistroTube does that.
Actually, especially for newer hardware, there are maybe you should try a newer kernel.
Yeah, and I agree. Yeah, that was the second.
Because Radeon 7, I mean, was supported. What was the first version they supported in 4.19, 4.18 or 4.19? If you are on an older kernel than that, you're gonna have trouble. It's gonna complain about missing firmware, many other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, if your hardware is cutting edge or brand new and you're on an LTS kernel, that's not exactly going to work out. Because
it's not going to work.
Written for older hardware, really, and more semi-current stuff.
So, guys, what kernel version does Arch Linux ships with right now? 5.1.
What kernel is it on? Let me.
Yeah.
I haven't updated in 2 or 3 days, but let me pull up my.
I'm sorry, I look like a homeless person right now. I got to freshen up.
Well, that's all right. I haven't shaved in a couple of days, and I've been coughing and sneezing a little bit, so I look kind of rough myself. 5.1.9.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But that's the latest kernel. Obviously, on Arch, you can stick to the LTS if you prefer.
No offense to homeless people. I do hope you get back on your feet soon. Trust me, I have a big heart for people that struggle like that. It's rough.
Well, that's nice you apologize to them, but if they were homeless and struggling, I don't know.
Not.
Why would they be watching this? Right?
They probably wouldn't.
You never know. DistroTube could be popular on the streets.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could cater to that crowd probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I look today.
No, you're all right. I think I'm worse.
Fine. I like your shirt. What is that? I thought that was a Pop OS shirt there at first.
No, this is Hero Vacation Bible School.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. From one of the local churches here. Yeah.
That'll work.
Just a T-shirt. Yeah.
That's a good thing. Bible school's a good thing for kids.
Yeah. On my off days, you'll catch me in T-shirts. Usually, you guys see me in button-up shirts.
Yeah.
That's you can usually tell the days I'm working and the days I'm off.
And that's perfectly fine. You want to be comfortable at home when you're off.
Yeah, I got an off day today. That's why we planned this morning. When I'm done here, I'm gonna try to go to the gym and see if I can do a little something at the gym today. Get a little bit of a workout in. I might try to catch Big Daddy later, Big Pod. I might see if I can join you guys. That's the plan anyway.
Give us some motivation to work out. That's always a good thing.
Well, I try to go 3 times a week.
No, that's okay.
Regardless of how I feel, like there's some, things happen like today. I don't feel great, but I think I could go and do a little something. But even if I was really sick, I would still make myself drive to the gym, swipe my card, and go in, even if I knew I was too sick to work out, just to keep in the routine. Right? I know that sounds strange, but
no, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
Because you don't want to break, you get into the habit of, I don't have to go. Well, you're gonna go no matter what.
Well, I tell you what, man, it takes a tough person mentally to do that, and
exactly.
That's what winners are made of. That's what winning looks like. So
well, after a while, it gets to the point you do it a few months, a couple of years, it just becomes habit like anything else.
Your body craves it, doesn't it?
Well, mentally it just becomes a habit. It's not. You don't think about it like you don't think about going to work every day. You don't think about going to school every day when you have to do it, right?
If you don't mind me asking, you're doing bodybuilding workout or something else?
Typically, I'm sorry, you cut out there. What was that?
Weightlifting, I mean.
Yeah, weights.
Well, like I used to do.
Yeah.
I used to work out a lot for years, and then work happened. 9 in the morning to 10, 11 in the afternoon is kind of hard hours.
Yeah. So typically, I'll go do some weights for a little bit and do a little cardio.
Yeah, it's best to do both. Actually, all the fit people I know combine those things.
Yeah.
But it does take strength of character. I mean, I don't have it right now.
And I actually do a leg day every week.
Oh, that's even harder.
I'm surprised how many people actually do lift weights.
I'm sorry.
And they don't want to do like leg day, which doesn't make any sense. Because what are the biggest muscles in the body? Your quads, your hamstrings, the glutes. Like the lower body is the most important thing. But so you got these guys at the gym that are just muscle-bound freaks, and then they got these chicken legs.
No.
Guys, I'm gonna hop off awfully early. I was mainly here on just testing things. It looks like everything's working right. I just got to get my input coming through my headphones, and I'll do that later. I've got to get on something. I'm very behind.
No, that's cool. Yeah, well, we're actually about to jump off too, Mark. So appreciate you stopping by.
No problem. I appreciate y'all having me on. Thank you, and have a very great day.
Nice meeting you. Bye.
Bye. Nice meeting you.
You guys convinced me to try Arch today. I'm gonna
try Arch.
Spare drive, yeah.
Yeah, but the Arch install is pretty
I know
quick.
it's okay.
Yeah, the Arch install is not bad. Setting it up afterwards can be a little longer in process, depending on what window manager or desktop environment. If you already got your configs somewhere.
Yeah, I do. I have the classical bare Git repos.
Yeah.
So I usually run i3. Used to run Xorg.
Oh well, there you go. After the base install the Xorg server i3. Pull your configs down. You're done. Well, not done. You got to install them.
Is it in the official repos or is i3 gaps in an AUR? I mean,
i3 gaps is in the official repos, isn't it?
Oh, nice.
I believe.
I think.
Because in all of the Debian-based distros, you have to
well, Debian's old. Yeah, Debian 9 is so old. The i3 is a problem in Debian. You're right about that.
Debian 10.
There are all those dependencies you have to download to compile.
Right. Yeah, because people have messaged me that you have the standard i3 window manager in the Debian repos, but they can't find i3 gaps, and then they want to know how to build it from source, and then when they start building it, it requires you get into dependency hell. Like, I don't even want to even try to help you guys with that. I apologize for that, but
no, it's hard.
Rolling release distros, try it. That's where you want to be.
That's why I package every application I use. So I can then just define dependencies, and that's it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with using, if you're on Debian stable, there's nothing wrong with using the standard i3 window manager, not i3 gaps. Those gaps really don't do anything for you. Like, they serve no real purpose. The only people that really like those gaps and use these gigantic gaps between their windows are the people that hang out on r/Unix porn, the people that make these pretty screenshots. But as far as actual daily use, like I'm a tiling window manager, I'm not putting gaps between my windows, maybe 2 pixels, 4 at the most, but I'm not putting 50 pixels in between every window. That's just ridiculous. It's wasted screen.
Especially my laptop is has a 14-inch display, so that's just a waste of space. I'm at 2 pixels also.
Yeah, i3 gaps is in the standard repos too, in Arch.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's mainly,
I'm gonna try it.
Mainly people put a small number of pixels for the gap, so that there is some separation between windows.
Yeah, and if you guys pull my configs down from GitLab, I put, I think, 4 pixel gaps in everything. I think I put it in Qtile, Xmonad, Awesome, because people are going to ask about the gaps. Now, typically when I run things like Qtile, 0 pixel gaps. I don't do gaps, but I put all the gaps in my config files because I know people are going to ask about it. And not having that line in the config file, well, people are going to constantly, how do I add the gaps? So I add the gaps in my config files.
I see.
But I would prefer, maybe 2 pixels. If I have to have some separation, maybe 2 pixels. But I'm not going
just a little bit of separation, because if I open up 2 terminals, then if I have no gaps or no frame around it, I kind of get confused. So just a little bit of it.
Well, you get confused about which window has focus, or
yeah, exactly.
Well, what I do is I try to pick a really bright color for the window that has for the frame. Something really jarring. It may not look pretty, like if you were making a screenshot, but if I like bright red, something that makes your eyes bleed, so you always know which window has the focus.
It's the productive thing to do. I mean, it's optimal.
All right, guys. Well, it's noon. We should go ahead and get out of here. Let's get a last word from everybody. So, George, give us a last word, sir.
I don't know.
Something witty, something funny, or just bye.
I will be an arts user.
Okay. There we go. All right. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us, George. Come back and do another one with us. All right. Murray, give us a last word, sir.
2 things. The Onion movie, see on YouTube right now. It's quite funny. It's sort of like an airplane movie. 26 minutes in, they've got a nice little 3-minute segue about a guy who goes into the retail store to upgrade his home computer. It's quite hilarious what happens in the store. The other thing is, underreported Ubuntu 1910. They're going to have ZFS as a root file system, and they're doing a deluxe job on it. They're going to integrate it into the Nautilus file manager. They're going to integrate it into the package manager. And to me, that's going to be a game changer when they do that. So,
well, if they're doing that, that would make sense for an interim release like 1910.
Yeah,
because
I'm really doubtful they'll do that.
Well, if they want to get it in before the 2004 LTS, you want to get it in now, because you know it's going to break some things, so you want it ironed out in 1910 or 2004. All right, thanks, Murray. Okay. Big Pod, give us the last word.
In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to make a grave mistake.
Yeah,
I'm going to install Gentoo on my machine.
Oh no!
Well, if you start now, in 2 weeks, you'll be done. The Gentoo install doesn't take that long these days.
Yeah.
Back in the day, though, because machines weren't as powerful, it wasn't unusual for somebody to take 3 days to compile. So. All right, appreciate you hanging out, Big Pod. Of course, before I go, let me switch scenes here. I want to thank these folks. Ansem, Chris, the other Chris, Douglas, Dylan, George, Jack, Leor, Mitchell, Philip, Rob, Robert, Sam, Tony, Willie, those guys, they rock. Help support me over on Patreon, all those other names you see on the screen. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys are awesome. All right. Peace, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.